from a technological standpoint, things could be way easier. We could get away with working, 10 hours a week and be able to supply all the necessary things if it weren't for all of the extraneous influences that are affecting things. And that's really the tragedy in my mind. I see people wasting their lives just going to work to pay the bills, to pay for their kids and the food and the roof over their head and their family and stuff and Christmas presents and stuff. And they do that for their whole life. Yep. And then they die. Like, what's the point?
That'll be me.
But what is the point of doing that? And why are we doing that? Because we don't...
To keep breathing.
We don't actually have to.
You make it sound simpler than it is. It's not like you can just, be like the guy from Office Space and be like, I don't like my job and I don't think I'm going to go anymore. Like if you do that, well, now you got to give up your house and your car and your food. And
the problem is, the problem isn't the job. It's the house and the car and the food. Welcome to another kitchen sink microscopy. I'm Eric Rosenblatt.
One?
Yeah. God, another one.
God damn it.
I'm Eric Rosenblatt, and if you want to like and share this video, subscribe to the channel. I mean, whatever. What the fuck ever. Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, if you want to watch on a Sunday, that'd be great.
I needed a coffee mug when I'm saying it.
Well, in case you haven't heard, I'm Casey Rochford. And no, I'm not going to bust into bird's the word. We would love it, though, if you would hang out to the end for much better music than that, which we write. And there's a new song every episode, and it's gonna stay that way for at least a little while until we start to recycle. But you can get that stuff at Spotify and iTunes and Amazon and all that extra special sticky sweet goodness.
What kind of video is this gonna be?
Yeah. Well, that's a good question. What are we talking about tonight?
Well, first off, I just want to start off by saying Elysian has they've released a limited edition space dust derivative called it's called dank dust. And it totally smells like weed.
Oh my god.
So your little
it's an IPA
guy,
it already smells like weed.
Well, it's even more like weed. So the hop guy is like completely stoned. Can't really quite. There we go. So in honor of 420, I guess, if that's really a holiday or a day to celebrate.
Oh yeah, that's tomorrow.
They have it. Yeah, at least as of the time of recording.
I never understood why people got high to celebrate Hitler's birthday, but
I've actually I've done some digging and tried to figure out why that particular day or that number is even relevant, and there's no consensus.
Yeah, it's all over the place.
Yeah, exactly. But anyway, that's especially in places like Washington State, that's a thing that's celebrated, and I'll bet people are thinking we're going to talk about drugs, but we're not. Instead, we're going to talk about what you use drugs to I guess
Escape
escape from. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Oh, hi, Floyd. Um, and that is this whole societal construct of like living to work and working to live.
Yeah.
Hey, buddy.
Well, my work shift totally kicked my ass today. Like, gave me this black eye. No, it's just, it's a sty. I wasn't actually beat up by work, although it feels like it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I can imagine. So,
But no, I do like, I work a lot of overtime, and you know the paycheck is nice, but what good is it when you don't have time to spend any of it, or like do anything enjoyable?
yeah, yeah, exactly. And that's something like just to kind of I guess um preface things. Hi, Floyd. Yeah, okay. Yeah, you're sitting on the chair until the episode starts, and now you want attention. All right. Um, what was I saying? Sorry.
Something about prefacing something with something.
uh, shit. I.
Well, I was talking about a
yeah.
lot of overtime.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Oh, no. Now I remember. Sorry. It must be this weed I'm drinking. Hmm.
Must be this beer I'm smoking, man.
Exactly. I like so many people have said, "Oh, you work in IT and stuff." And hi. Oh, guess what? Cat butt.
Demonetized.
um. Oh, Floyd's so embarrassed. But I people have said, "Oh, you have all these skills and all this stuff, and you could totally make way more money if you just get this job or that job or whatever and go work here or there." Like, oh, you could totally make six figures and stuff. I'm like, yeah, but at what cost? Uh, sure, it'd be easy to make millions of dollars a year, but I'd have no time to enjoy life, to stop and smell the roses and drink the coffee and stuff like that. And the job that I have, though it doesn't necessarily pay as much as it should, provide me uh, a, a lot of free time to do things that I like to do. And that's something that I think isn't always accounted for. Wow, man, Floyd, geez, you're very
Yeah, like
very needy.
just the other day, in order to like work on some music, I had to stay up until 4 in the morning.
Yeah,
Like I have to like carve out time to unwind and do things that relax me. Like there is no time, and
yeah.
that's stupid.
Exactly. Like back in the day, in the golden era, I guess, of ALTAiR, 2003. Like we would regularly stay up till 4 in the morning.
Voluntarily.
Yeah, yeah. It was a normal thing, but then our living expenses were pretty low, so we didn't really have to work that much. Um, and hi, Floyd.
Yeah, I think I worked at Domino's like part time,
Yeah,
and we had a friggin' giant apartment.
yeah. It was almost as big as the house I'm living in right now. Um, and yeah, sure, it could have been better, but it was enough. And honestly, like what we cared about, which was creating things, we were able to do
Yeah.
living there. And you get older and society has expectations like, oh, you got to have kids, you got a white picket fence and all that stuff. And well, those things require more money.
Yep.
So you can't uh live that way like a bachelor, basically, as we were. And you sacrifice all your creativity for that, all of the things that really matter to you, for the sake of whatever society expects. And it, it becomes a trap. Admiral Akbar, like, it's a trap. Um, it becomes a trap where, the costs start accelerating, and your need for more money to meet those costs parallels that. And yeah, and pretty soon you wake up one day and you're like 70 years old, retiring, and what have you done with your life? What have you accomplished? Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
See, this is the problem I have with profits based on like basic human needs. Like I get it to some degree, but it's disgusting. Like uh, people always are like, well, if you just cut out coffee every day, you could, like buy a house. Well, no, you fucking can't.
Yeah.
Like here's the thing, like the whole supply and demand thing based on want is not really inflating prices. Like Netflix is like 10 or 11 bucks. If I get rid of that, what am I going to afford now? Like it's not going to do me any good. So I'll hang on to Netflix. Like health insurance, food, uh, rent. I have to have those things. A car insurance, the gas. Like all of these things are freaking expensive because I need them. And it's like, that pisses me off. Like,
Well, yeah, I mean, they're expensive and you need them.
yeah, it's like it's not based off what you can afford. It's forcing people to work way beyond their means in order to afford just living. Like it's not even a choice anymore. It's a necessity. Like if
Well,
you want to live, you have to work for someone else and
I
be a
mean,
slave.
to some extent, it's never really been a choice. I mean, back in the hunter gatherer era, sure, we didn't have government bills we had to pay. There was no monetary system, so to speak. I mean, there was something, but it was arbitrary. Um, there was no gas, whatever. You walk places, but there were still things that you had to do to survive. You have to hunt or gather. You have to create a shelter, and that takes work. That takes time.
Yeah, but once like an economy formed, like Christopher Columbus wasn't like, doing DoorDash on a dinghy, out in the middle of the ocean. Like he had enough money to get enough food to get it to wherever he wanted to go. And, like, and it wasn't like he had to spend decades of his life saving up to do that one thing. And that was it,
No,
like,
and to some extent back then, in the Columbus days, things were a lot simpler. Like, it's a lot more complex now.
yeah.
Yeah, you can't. Cutting out Netflix, well, cutting out creature comforts, the things that we would like to have but don't necessarily need, doesn't really. I mean, the amount of effort you have to expend to have the necessary things hasn't really changed. Just the uh like the way it's structured and exchanged
Well, the amount of
has
time you
changed.
have to put in to get there
Well,
is what's,
no,
yeah,
we've
inflating.
actually, now technically it's less time, depending. It does
What?
depend. No, it depends
What
on
about
where you live.
inflation?
Well,
Just this
okay.
year alone was like 8.5%.
Well, and that is an issue, and
And wages never go up. Like
they
like
do, but
you
they
you see
trail
you see
inflation by
like
quite a bit.
inflation curves, you see like cost of living curves, and then you see like wages, and they're like, you know,
Well, depending on what particular bracket you're in, but yeah, wages do
it's simple
tend.
math.
Well, wages do tend to trail inflation or monetary exchange rates and things like that. That's normal. But at the end of the day, we actually work less for the necessities than we used to. Um, that I'm not like saying, well,
If you're
because
if you're drawing big fat line between hunter gatherer and now. Yeah, okay. So like we're not hunting from sun up to sundown
Well, I'm
and
just
maybe
talking
not
about over
getting any food.
time, but yeah, things have changed, and the problem I have is that from a technological standpoint, things could be way easier. We could get away with working, 10 hours a week and be able to supply all the necessary things if it weren't for all of the extraneous influences that are affecting things. Um, and that's really the tragedy in my mind. Like, it doesn't come down to money. And money, fuck money. It doesn't exist. It's made up. Like, it's just something that we use to trade with. Like, it could be crypto, it could be dollars, it could
Yeah,
be,
but it is what it is. Like
well, no,
everything's fucking made up. It doesn't really matter how
well,
it's made up or what's been made
well,
up.
the problem is the guys with the guns, the government, demand payment in their coin, not yours. So you have to work for their system. And well, I think it's pretty evident their system is flawed. Um, I don't know that anything really is perfect, but there's certainly better ways of doing things. Um, I mean, I kind of like, I want to talk about this whole concept because I see people wasting their lives just going to work to pay the bills, to pay for their kids and the food and the roof over their head and their family and stuff and Christmas presents and stuff. And they do that for their whole life.
Yep.
And then they die. Like, what's the point?
That'll be me. I mean,
but what is the point of doing that? And why are we doing that? Because we don't
to keep breathing.
We don't actually have to. We only have to because of society, our societal structure that sort of dictates that or directs us into that kind of hole, I guess. We don't have to. Like, there are ways. I mean, if you think outside the box,
you make it sound simpler than it is. It's not like you can just, be like the guy from Office Space and be like, I don't like my job and I don't think I'm going to go anymore. Like if you do that, well, now you got to give up your house and your car and your food. And
the problem isn't the job; it's the house and the car and the food. Like there are ways.
I mean, like socialism would be a great way to fix that.
Well, that's its own tangent that maybe might deserve its own episode because I do have some.
But I mean, if you're going to talk about the means, like and just flip your wrists and say, oh, we don't have to work, we can decide not to work.
I'm not saying we don't have to work. I'm saying we don't have to work the way we do necessarily. It's dependent on what you're striving for. Like a lot of things that people do are dictated by societal expectations, not by necessity. Like many things that we do are born out of this kind of societal, I guess, infrastructure or something like that is built for whatever reason. And we think, well, that's the way it should be done. But it doesn't have to be that way. Like you could happily live in an RV or a tiny house if you're single, or maybe a couple.
You could. That's not everybody. You can't project that onto everybody.
No. But I'm saying, like, we're talking about like what is necessary to survive. Shelter is necessary. A tent is barely adequate, but still adequate. Yet people buy 2,000 square foot houses and then they complain that they can't pay the mortgage. Like, well, but you don't actually need that because most of that space is taken up with the shit you're hoarding and putting into the rooms. Like, we don't need most of those things. Would it be nice? Yes, sure, it would be nice. And if you're willing to put in the labor and sacrifice, then you could totally have that. But you don't really need that. We could live in like a 100 square foot house as an individual and survive. Like, I mean, we are talking survival, not thrival, if that's a word.
I thought we were talking about living though, and that's surviving, not living. You know, like the whole idea of like living to work and working to live, to me, is more about where you want to be and what you have to do to be there. And I don't want to be crammed inside of a shoebox and call that shelter, even though that's basically what I have to do, just to get this little shoebox I'm in right now.
Well, but there are plenty of, okay, so why is it that there are plenty of people who don't have that? Why do I walk around Tacoma and see these huge $1 million houses and people are living in them and they're quite content? Where are they getting that money? What, like,
that's a great question.
I ask myself all that time, like, or I ask myself that all the time.
Yeah. That's yeah.
Now, granted,
I know we have differing thoughts on that, but
yeah, I mean, I do government jobs. I do tend towards the idea of you should live within your means. You should live as simply as possible. I mean, but people like stuff. I like stuff. I have stuff. It's kind of nice. It's nice to have things.
You have a shit ton of stuff.
Well, I do, but at the end of the day, it's pretty modest. It's a very
you're like a very organized hoarder.
Yeah,
you're like neat and tidy, but you have like way more shit than I can even fathom of how you like fit it in your garage in your house. Like,
and can you imagine that most of that stuff I bought with a minimum wage income, or like secondhand kind of stuff?
You must have consistently scored like 900,000 on Tetris.
Yeah. Well, it is kind of a skill. So and that's the thing. It's like, you know, bargain hunting is a valuable skill, and maybe they should teach that in school, how to find deals. And
well, no, that's a good point. Like I actually, in the grand scheme of things, pay next to nothing in rent for where I live.
Mm-hmm.
And I still struggle. And I have a pretty decent paying job, actually.
Well, and I do too. I mean,
that's really telling though. Like,
and I'm kind of wondering what's going to happen. Like the rent, fortunately, you know, I know the owner personally of this house, so like the rent isn't too crazy, but the utilities, this next utility bill is gonna kick my ass. So, and I don't have a choice in that. I do have a choice where I want to live, but I don't have, like, you can move anywhere in Tacoma and TPU is your option. And oh God, it's going to be like $700-800 this month. And
well, you do have a choice. You could put solar panels on the roof and wind turbines in the front yard, and you know.
Well,
but I mean, like, you can rationalize until the cows come home. You know,
actually,
right?
You know, I could install a nuclear power plant if I was allowed to do that. Solar panels and wind turbines. Turbines can actually land you in jail if you install them in the wrong place, because
they cause cancer.
The NIMBYs. No, it's the NIMBYs. And solar panels. There's a whole story about a guy that installed a wind turbine in his property, and he was arrested because, well, the government didn't like it. Well, other people didn't like it, and they leveraged the government to get back at him, and he was arrested. So, you know, you have to abide by the rules of the realm, I guess, in that regard, which costs money. You can't just like do it. You have to do it the way they want you to do it, which is expensive.
It's illegal to have wind power, but you can have solar power?
It isn't necessarily illegal, but it's illegal when you don't do it according to the playbook.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Harken back to episode 1 of this season where we talk about permits.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Swivel on it, punk. Yeah, exactly. Like, it, oh man, I
I wish we didn't have like this culture of like 40 hours a week and like asking for permission to take days off and things like that. And like I get it, like most jobs have certain qualifications that need to be met and deadlines and quotas and things to remain productive and contributing to the economy in your own way and all that stuff. But like treating people like children that would just completely slack off and do nothing and not care about the company were it not for being like tethered to their 40-hour week. I mean, that's just bullshit.
well, and it's it's borne out by the data that like number of hours you work doesn't equal productivity. Like
Mm-hmm.
there isn't necessarily a correlation there. Like most people go to work and they're there for their quota of 8 hours and they do like maybe an hour or two of work of
Yeah.
actual
Like,
productive work.
I'll tell you what, I worked 10 hours today and I got more done in the 2 hours after everybody went home than I
Mm-hmm.
did in the whole day.
Yeah, can I jabber at you? Like
Yeah.
that's a problem too. In fact, it was
Well, yeah, the whole going to work thing is like,
yeah, and it was discovered that like people are actually more productive when they're working from home. Like
yep.
that below. Well, yeah, I think what you said about like
Time and productivity aren't necessarily married to each other.
no, they're not, and the idea of companies having this kind of attitude that their employees are children that need to be managed. Like, oh well, if there wasn't a manager here, then nothing would ever get done. Like, as an anarchist, um, more gets done without the managers. Just saying, as long as people have kind of a internal drive to do something, right? Like you want to accomplish something and do stuff and use the company and their resources to do things. If you could put that into place, people you don't need managers. Like you just people come into work and they do their thing. I mean, where I work, there are no. I mean, there virtually are no managers. Nobody's like clock watching or anything like that. They're not like saying, "Oh, what are you doing? I need to have an account of everything you're doing from minute to minute." But yet, everything gets done because we internally have this desire to keep things running. Like,
Oh yeah, that drives me crazy. Like there are like at this job and at plenty of other jobs I've had, there are so many like hours in the week that just go into reporting on what I'm doing. And it drives me crazy. I'm like, this doesn't even like accurately paint the picture of what I'm doing. Kind of makes it look like I'm not doing that much, and I'm not doing that much because I'm spending all this time telling you how much I'm not doing.
yeah, exactly.
Like, chill the fuck out. Like
Well, yeah,
timekeeping programs and like time, project tracking, project mapping. Like I was a project manager, and there were like Gantt charts and shit, and I'm like, no, I know what to do. I have a fucking notebook, and I'm gonna go to it.
mm-hmm.
Like, leave me alone.
Well, and there's a certain thing that comes with like trust in employees at a company. The less you trust people, the more you have to manage them. Um, just gonna throw that out there that for all those managers and company owners out there, that it's that distrust that necessitates all the rigmarole and bullshit that you're doing, all the reports and form filling out and stuff like that. Like if you just let people be and you inspire them, you know, a manager should be a leader, right? And a leader inspires by example.
You shouldn't even need a manager though. Like you're right. Like look at I mean, in school, they force you to do all these group projects to teach you how to work with people. Is there a manager amongst you? I mean, one person might step up and kind of like, quote unquote, lead the group or, like dole out responsibilities and stuff like that. But that forms organically.
yeah, yeah, it
It's
does.
not an appointed position and it's not like there aren't metrics that need to be met and all this shit.
Well,
It's
and
not micromanaged.
I think it could be argued that the organically formed managerial positions are much more legit
Mm-hmm.
than appointed ones. If somebody rises to the top as a leader, well, like without anybody saying anything, they just naturally do. You know, that makes a lot more sense than just somebody who's appointed by a board of directors or something like that
I'll tell you what,
to
that's the
lead.
type of person I am. In the group projects, it's like everyone would be like, and I'd be like, oh, fuck it. All right, here's what we got to do. Like I would just step in and be like, here's how we get it done. But when somebody at a job above me tasks me with being the manager that tasks others with other things and then has to report all these things and metrics and like rattle off the top of my head the progress reports and stuff, and it's like I can't do that shit. I'm not wired for that. And then
Mm-hmm.
I look like I don't know what I'm doing, but I do. Like if you just let me do it, it'll get done. But
Well,
you're
and that,
so focused on knowing exactly what and when and how and where and all this shit, and it's
well,
like,
and
calm down.
do you know why that is? It's because the people in managerial positions don't know shit. So all they have are the calculated numbers to look at. Um, People who innately understand how to manage people and inspire people and be a proper leader don't need those numbers. They don't need charts and fucking Excel spreadsheets. You just do that. You make it happen. Um, like at my job, like when the new boss came in, she wanted to try to make things fit because she used to work at where did she work? Starbucks, I think,
Oh,
corporate.
Starbucks.
Yeah.
Oh
So
man.
so she was all like gung ho, like, oh, I want everybody to do this, and I'm like, look, hold on. We keep things running. I actually run a tight ship here, and I'm kind of not really. I wouldn't say in charge, but I guess I'm the elder. So I like understand things. Um, and, she wanted like strict schedules and timelines and all this stuff. And I'm like, look, just say when you want something done and it will happen. Don't don't expect people at particular times or to report in about things because makes people that gets people on edge. And that's how people quit. So just let us go, let us be free, tell us what it is that you want accomplished, and we'll accomplish it.
And
We will, and we have historically for the last like 6 years. The people that I work with, we have like never failed to meet a deadline and or meet a goal. Like we have always made things work. We've always found a way, and it's that whole kind of like, hey, maybe you should just let go. Um, but there's that like, ew, if there's time to lean, there's time to clean. Like, oh, you got to be doing something. It's like, what? Who says? Doing what and for what purpose? Like, I don't understand this shit.
And meetings are just, oh my god.
Mm.
Like I almost had to be part of a meeting today. I kind of dodged a bullet. The meeting was supposed to be an hour. It ended up taking 90 minutes.
Mm.
And my team walked out of there and they were like, it's so good you weren't there. Like, we spent an hour and a half and ended up deciding on leaving everything as it is. Like, nothing changed. An hour and a half of like 7 people's time was completely wasted.
Just a bunch of jibber jabber for nothing. Like,
And that's most meetings, honestly. Like,
well, and that does kind of
like certain times you have to meet. Like,
yeah.
if a lot of people need to like get some clarity or some direction, or like,
Be appraised of the situation.
Yeah, I'm tiptoeing around like the idea of like making decisions, because meetings really shouldn't be a place to like decide things, I think. Because I don't think I've ever seen very many meetings where it turns out differently than what I just described.
Yeah.
Like, most meetings are like, well, let's take this offline, which really just means we haven't come to a conclusion. So,
or I don't know shit.
Yeah. And it's like, you get nothing done by meeting. When I was a project manager in Memphis, oh my God, my entire day, 7 to 8 hours of the day was in meetings. And I was expected to get a bunch of shit done. When?
Yeah, when exactly? Like, if you have a meeting, it should be like 10 minutes. Maybe. I mean, give or take, depending on whatever it is you're talking about. If it's like just refreshing people on the state of things, like, hey, here's what's going on, here's what we're doing, you should be able to accomplish that in 10 minutes. And if you can't, you're a fucking gonad. Like, like, you can't, because I can do that, and I'm not a manager. Like, I'm just a dude. I'm an idiot. Like, I could accomplish all that shit in 10 minutes. How does it take an hour or an hour and a half?
Yeah, and it's like, if you have something to contribute, like I heard about what went on in the meeting, and I was like, oh man, I actually should have been there. And people were like, yeah, actually, we were saying in the meeting you should have been there. And like, at the beginning of the meeting, I walked in and they're like, oh, you know what, we probably thought this wasn't the best use of your time, so you can go back to your desk. I was like, yeah, okay, I got a lot of stuff to do. And really, it should have just been that I was in there because I had a good fucking idea, and and they just went with nothing. They're like, oh, let's just keep doing things the way we're doing them.
That illustrates the ineptitude of most managers, and by managers I mean any hierarchical construct, like governments or corporations, or like they're all bloated and wasteful of human talent, and time.
Yeah,
Like, a lot of time wasted.
You've only got so much reach in a company.
Yeah,
like, to have this overarching like vice president of such and such, like, what are you really doing, bro? Or ma'am? Like, yeah. What are you really doing? Jack shit. Like, you're in meetings, you're on phone calls, you're eyeballing charts and this and that, and you might make a decision or like lay down an edict here or there. Is it really for the best? Do you really know best? Are you boots on the ground? Do you have like...
Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying. Like, the people who are in a position and the people who the average person in a company or a state look up to don't know any better than the people they're passing those edicts down to.
Yeah. Fuck
Um,
your
yeah.
experience. If you're not in the weeds today, you don't know what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
You might be able to guess pretty well if you've got a lot of experience, but it really depends on how detached and how long you've been detached from actually being in the weeds.
Yeah. Well, and that's where like the Toyota method makes a lot of sense. Um, there's a reason why Toyota is number one on the planet. It's
How do they do it?
well, I'd have to Google that. But it
It probably ought
essentially
to be like a cycling sort of lottery thing. Like every so often somebody gets called up to like lead the team for a while.
well, no, so it's called the Toyota Way. And it involves everybody. So the lowest of the low, even like a janitor counts. And that if somebody brings up a problem, it's valid and deserves consideration. And that whole like dynamic between the decision makers and the people doing the work is really, really important in Toyota.
Huh.
It and that would be nice. Like that, I
I
wish
mean,
it
I've
happened
worked
more
at
often.
places that are pretty much like that. I mean, like where I work now, I feel valued and heard,
Mm-hmm.
to an extent. Like it's not that I don't feel heard, it's just that I don't know that all the considerations that should be taken are taken. And
Well,
and
and that's kind of a product of this hierarchical system where there's a select few who are the designated decision makers at the top,
I
and
actually
everybody
think it comes
defers.
down to greed. I actually think it comes down to like there's needs that we have and it would cost money to fill those needs. And here I am working overtime. My entire team is working overtime 7 days a week, 110-hour pay periods, and getting burnt out. Like we need one or two more full-time people.
Yeah.
We're
Well,
not getting it.
okay, I think you're right. I mean, I'm gonna
I mean, greed might be a strong word to
no,
some
no,
people,
I,
but like,
no, what you're saying, like I think you're right. But it's not greed monetarily, it's greed in a different way. Like,
or stinginess or something. Like,
well, no, you have people who are sociopaths, that want that kind of accreditation, that sort of reinforcement that they're worth something.
I
And
mean,
those
I've seen
people who
that. I
get in
don't,
there,
I don't see it in this company though. But
well, that's good because
yeah,
that is pretty rare. But
it is.
people get into those positions. Managers aren't there because they're good at managing. They're good at conning people. They're good at persuasion, by and large. Not saying not all managers are like that, but that does tend, in my observations, does tend to be the trend.
Hmm.
So they don't want money. They don't care about money. They care about praise and accolade. Like that is the currency that they collect.
Praise is nice. I appreciate it. I don't want it in lieu of monetary. Yeah, yeah. I mean, like, it's not that I want to be like tying my time to money,
Yeah.
but that's just the way things are, and it's how society currently operates. And if I want to have like a comfortable existence, I got to play by those rules. So, like, that's what I would prefer. Pat on the back feels nice,
Yeah.
but it doesn't fill my stomach.
So, but here's the problem is the people making the decisions that affect your monetary compensation and your quality of life monetarily don't care about money. They are the ones that care about those things you don't care about. And yet they're the ones tasked with organizing an organization or a tribe or a government. And they don't care about that stuff. Well, they're probably perfectly comfortable.
I mean, I get why people are micromanagers, clock watchers, you know, like chart readers. They want to make sure the money they're spending is well spent. I get that. But you're going to see that without charts. You're going to see that without staring at a clock. If things aren't working, you're going to be able to figure it out. I mean, unless you're a complete raving lunatic idiot, you're going to be able to figure it out without seeing charts and like.
No, you're absolutely right that it would be obvious to a normal person, but these sorts of people think that they detach themselves from cause and effect, causality and stuff like that, and think
they're busy in meetings.
Well, yeah, and they believe that their actions are the reason why things turned out the way they did, when it isn't. It is the people that are under them hierarchically, who make those things happen.
Yeah.
Like, and so there's this kind of incentive to perpetuate this idea that, well, you know, I have to like look at these charts and predict the future and try to plan and organize and dictate what people do, when like those things didn't happen because of what you did. They happened because of the team you had and just like a perfect magic that occurred.
Yeah. And this is why I think I'm of the philosophy that, you know, like the higher you are in the pecking order, the less work you're doing. Like the less effort you're putting in. Like your time is spent in meetings, your time is spent micromanaging. You're basically like a leech on the company, but you're getting higher and higher pay. Your bonuses are percentages of that higher pay. Like so much resource is going to feed you, and you're doing shit, like jack shit.
Well, I wouldn't totally say that. I mean, you know, the bonuses thing is a problem, because yeah, managers get bonuses, but the average person working doesn't usually. That's a problem. Like it should be kind of, everybody should get a bonus of some sort. That'd be nice.
Yeah.
I
mean, yeah, if you're doing work that contributed to the overall good health of the company, everyone deserves, even the janitor.
Well, and I would say, especially if you did something extra special, if you went above and beyond, and the idea that managers just automatically get a bonus because of the stuff that happened, it's like, well, what's your evidence for that? Now, speaking to the idea that people in managerial positions don't do work, I mean, I guess I think they do. It's a different kind of work, though. And it really depends on where you work. Meetings. Well, yeah, exactly. I gotta say, look. Let me say, I would rather dig ditches all day than go to one fucking meeting. What? Like I will sit in the dirt with a shovel and manually dig a ditch before I would prefer to go to one stupid ass meeting again.
Like, what do your bosses or your boss's bosses do most of the day? I bet you money it's meetings.
It pretty much is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
But that
that's
doesn't.
that's all I'm saying is like most meetings are like the one I described today, 90 minutes, and you end up in the exact same place you started.
Yeah.
Like, it's not work, you're just spinning wheels.
Well,
Like, you might be talking about work,
and,
you might
and
be
it,
thinking about work,
sure,
not doing
sure,
it.
but they're kind of like dictating the big picture thing. My boss will
But are
say,
they?
well, they, at least where I work, my boss will say, we need this to happen. What is it going to take to make it happen? And so it's on to us to, the people that like can do the research to figure things out and put things together. Like, oh, I have to sit here and spend like 4 hours researching models of UPSs
Here's
or
the problem.
PDUs and stuff.
Here's the problem. Meetings are not actually conversations.
Mm-hmm.
Not everyone is going in there with an open mind. Like something you just said triggered this. Like, if the people conducting the meetings, calling the shots, were actually open to the advice of their employees in the meeting, it would actually be more productive.
Well, and that is actually the Toyota way.
Yeah.
Which is why Toyota is a baller in the automotive industry.
Hell yeah.
Like,
damn good car.
Yeah, more companies should be adopting this. Like, it's something that is worth looking into.
Like, if you want people to believe in a company, it really helps if they can see themselves reflected in the company. Like, if they can point to something and say, "Hey, that was my idea," like, they're gonna have pride. They're gonna like give 110% every day.
I actually have several things within the company I work for that I designed that are realized, and it's kind of cool to see that, and that is
what,
an
and that's something we
inspiration.
should actually talk about. It's like, if you want to retain good employees, fucking listen to them.
Yeah.
Like, take care of them. Like, if you encourage that kind of behavior, it will flourish and it will return dividends. But if you just like treat them just like every other employee, like a blanket treatment for everybody, then you're gonna drive people, like good people, away. They're gonna take a better offer, they're gonna get bored, they're gonna feel unappreciated, and they're gonna move on.
I think feeling unappreciated is probably the worst thing you could possibly go through. Like, I've been burning my time for all of these years, and what have I got to show for it? Like a mug, a coffee cup. Yeah. That's it. That's a pen, and that's what you've given me.
And appreciation costs you nothing.
Yeah, exactly. Like listen to people, and this, there's this idea that's prevalent in the system, where the people that work, the average worker, like, doesn't know anything, and they're just a peon. We have to have managers to manage these people, but the managers don't know shit. Yeah, I would challenge anybody, ask your manager something mundane about what you do, and I would bet they wouldn't know how to do it.
Oh, no.
And that's something I love about where I work. Like, my boss actually knows her shit. And she has gone and done things in the middle of the night when shit went awry, like, just because. And that inspires me. I'm like, oh, okay, that, like, well, I can't look like a dumbass, now after she just like got up at like 2 a.m. and drove to a store and fixed something in the middle of the night, like, okay, well, I've got to step up too. And that it goes back to this whole lead by example thing. Like, don't just dictate to people what to do it, and people will rally behind you when the chips are down.
Yeah.
And listen to people. Like, it's kind of important, like you're saying.
I think another aspect is knowing what it is that makes that position special. Like the other day I heard somebody say that our department is hard to fill positions for because it's such a unique skill set. And I'm thinking to myself, well, that's what you need to advertise, is like, we're looking for such and such person.
Yeah.
And the type of person, well, like, you would be good for this. It's a renaissance man.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I work in a 3-person department. Like, I was a cook and a biologist and a delivery guy and a manufacturer and then, like, the guy across from me used to be a spy in the military. Like, and then there's a guy that worked at Nordstrom. So, like, we've got retail, delivery, warehouse, military spy. I was a ninja. Like, like, there's all kinds of different experience that the conglomerate of is able to, I don't know, like, use analogical thinking to solve complex problems of a variety of natures. And that is something that's very unique, but you can find it if you know how to advertise what you're looking for.
Well, and as a manager, you should know how to manage said people. I mean,
if they even need management, we honestly don't need management. We know what our job is. We know how to handle, like, ad hoc shit that comes flying at us every day, like, fires that need to be put out. We just know what to do
at work too. Yeah.
Like, and that's a skill in itself. And I know they recognize that, and I know that we have that ability, but I don't know that they're advertising for that need. Like, I mean, I know I didn't see that in the job description. I mean, albeit I applied for something else and they said I'd probably be a good fit for this, but if they were advertising the job as like somebody who knows how to put out fires, somebody who can think on their feet, somebody who's got a broad variety of experience, that's what we do. You don't have to say anything else.
Yeah.
Like, and I tell you what, if I saw a job listing that just said that, I'd fucking apply for that.
Oh yeah, totally. Mad respect.
Like, that's not for everybody, but that's for me. That's what I like.
Well,
that's the job experience that I've worked to build, is a little of everything.
And maybe that's something that honesty in job applications, like that, they're always so cagey about like what is actually happening and what you're actually doing and what they actually want. And then by extension, people applying to those positions do the same. They're equally cagey. Like, why not just be honest about what you want and what it's like? And although I would argue that the people writing the job descriptions don't even know what the job is.
Oh, no.
As an example, my team, the job description was essentially like an IT job, but we don't really do IT, like hardly at all.
Yeah.
But it's because HR wrote the job description. They were the ones, tasked with writing this, because the managers, the people that wanted a new person hired, like, they didn't even know what we did. Good example. I had some people leave my team, and they wanted to fill the position, and the IT director at the time wanted to buy a toolkit for everybody. So his idea of a toolkit for our position was one of those IT toolkits, like the silver like briefcases that have the like generic tools with like IC extractors.
They're mostly foam rubber.
Yeah, and there was like IC extractors and inserters. It's like, when do we ever deal with integrated circuits? That is not a thing. We need drills. We need ladders. Like, do you even know what we do? It was pretty evident that wasn't the case. But he wanted to buy these toolkits. It's like, okay, I could use literally 2 tools in that box of like 100+ tools on a daily basis. But as an employee, it's important not to exalt the managers, not treat them like special people. They're not special people. They're not fuck celebrities. Just saying.
Can we talk for a minute about the flip side of that? Like, this whole idea that you've got to show up for your interview in nice clothes that you're never going to wear on the day to day. Like, what is that? Like, I want to see how you, like, I want to go to an interview in a Megadeth shirt. Not this. Like
yeah. Oh, hell yeah.
Like, let me see who you are. Let me see what you bring to the table, your uniqueness. Like,
so my current coworker, at the interview, the question was asked by, of course, the whole IT department was interviewing, even though they didn't even know what we did. The question was asked to my current coworker, "What do you like to do?" And he said, "Oh, I like to do some target shooting." And I was like, "Okay, yep, like you, good, all right, that'd be fun."
Yeah, and that's important. Like, if you weren't working there, maybe that wouldn't have worked for the team. But you're part of the team. You like that. You would get along with that guy, and you'd have a good rapport.
Exactly, because that's really, really important for cohesion.
Yeah,
is like getting along with the people that you work with.
I really appreciate interviewing at places where you get to meet the team you're working with, and they get a say. Like that is huge. Like, as an interviewee, like, that tells me like you're actually looking for a good fit. And that's I don't know, that's hugely important. Like, I think there's way too much like pretenses and like, I don't know, just like making yourself look all foofy and like, what is the point of that? Like,
well, yeah,
it drives me nuts. It drives me nuts.
Well, if you can't sell yourself well enough as your real self,
yeah,
what you had said earlier, though, like, made me think, though, about Zelenskyy.
Yeah.
He rolls around in like a woolly pulley, like a t-shirt. He's the president of Ukraine, and he wears a fucking like olive drab t-shirt.
And he's not
Like,
afraid of getting his hands dirty and shit.
yeah,
Like that's exactly what you
that,
need.
that is baller, man. Like,
And
oh my
I don't
god.
know anything about his campaign, but I bet you anything he probably presented himself that way.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's the type of person that doesn't give a shit about pretenses. You know, like
Yeah, and
when I interviewed, I mean I dressed nice because I'm supposed to, and I've never dressed nice once since. Um, but I went in there and I said, you know, like they asked some question, and I said, "Oh, I like to make dad jokes. You know, I like to lighten the mood with humor." And my boss once said, like, "I haven't heard you make a dad joke yet." And I said, "Well, you're not in here with the team every day." And then I, like I made it a point to start pointing out when I make dad jokes. And it's like that's a part of what I do.
yeah.
Does it contribute to the overall productivity of the company? Maybe.
It
Depends on your
might.
definition, you know?
Well,
Like,
it might because like your overall mood does impact how you behave.
yeah. I
Um,
mean, like if I weren't laughing every day with my team, I probably would have quit by now.
yeah,
I have a good time there. I like who I work with.
they might have quit too.
Yeah.
Like that is the thing about being a good leader, and that's one thing. Like the whole Zelenskyy thing. Somebody who isn't wearing an expensive suit, just wearing a t-shirt is relatable. Like it's somebody you can relate to. You feel like they're, you know, part of your group or your clan or something like that. Um, and that's really, really rare. If you look across the world, who else wears a t-shirt?
I'm
As a
I'm trying
president of a country, name one president that wears a t-shirt or a
I'm
word
trying I'm
police.
trying to think of any of our presidents in my lifetime that wore anything other than a suit when they weren't on a golf course or jogging.
Yeah.
I can't name one.
I exactly. Like
Like even
so
after their presidency, Jimmy fucking Carter. I mean,
mhm.
like you don't build houses in a suit.
Okay,
You know?
all right. Yep. I got it. Yes, Jimmy Carter, lots of cred there.
Yeah, like maybe he wasn't the greatest president, but what a fucking
Oh,
what
a
a guy.
legend. What a legend. Like, yeah, not a good president, but after he was president, holy shit. Like,
And
he
there's no
inspired
shame
us.
in that. Like not everyone's going to be good at the job.
Yeah.
You know, like but if you're a good fucking person and Jimmy Carter is like of all the living presidents, like I think Jimmy Carter is like a fucking saint. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah. I agree. Yes.
you know, I mean, like just be who you are. Like there's no point in applying for a job if you aren't bringing something of yourself to the job.
hmm
So like why paint this picture of someone who you're not? Someone this carbon copy. Like everyone who puts out a job application is expecting a suit and tie to walk in, or like a mid-thigh length skirt and a nice blouse to walk in. Like it's always what fucking clothes you're wearing over your naked body that we're all born with.
We're all
What?
naked underneath. Yeah.
Yeah, like what is this shit? Like
Maybe it would be good to have naked interviews. Oh, wait.
yes.
I mean, I could see that going wrong, but I mean, there's a point to be made there. Like, be yourself.
I'll tell
I
you what, I don't know if you've ever been to a nude beach, but when everyone is naked, there are no walls.
Yeah.
Everyone is like completely without judgment.
Mm-hmm.
They're comfortable in their own skin. They're just humans. Like
Yeah.
there's no color, there's no class, there's none of that shit.
It sounds a lot like the BBS days. Like, oh man, the shit that made me an anarchist. Yeah, but that is a good point. That like putting on this show as if you're someone else. I mean, yeah.
We go from like living to work to getting naked.
But it does kind of fit.
It really does. Like so much of our work is like fake.
Well, and that's the whole thing is this expectation that we should be a certain way, that we should behave a certain way. And but okay, fine. But what is the justification? What is your rationale behind that? Like most people don't have any. Like there is no justification for wearing a suit to an interview or a skirt or something like that. Sorry,
It's completely stupid.
yeah, it is. Well, because here's the thing. It distracts from the humanity of a person and their actual, like what they can bring to the table, their actual experience and things like that. To does kind of put this all into an idea of the like, oh, it's only what you're wearing. Like, well, that doesn't make any sense. You don't even wear that at work. So why do you have to wear it to an interview? I don't understand that.
Yeah. I even like dress codes at work. Like you can't wear t-shirts that have print on them. Well, like I mean, usually that's not like a written rule, but it's almost like the norm. So it's like the unwritten rule. Like you don't wear t-shirts that say anything on them to a job.
Except oh, sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, I just think that's dumb. Like I look through my closet every morning and I'm like, I'd really love to wear my Judas Priest shirt, but I'm going to work.
Mm-hmm.
Well, why should that fucking matter?
Yeah. Well,
how's that going to ruin anybody else's productivity? Oh, Casey wore Judas Priest today. I got to go home early. I can't even.
Yeah. Well, that would bring up like, okay, well, fine if it's not okay to wear one group's moniker, then what about your own company? Like, why is it okay to wear a shirt with your company logo on it, but not like a band logo?
Oh man, I tell you, if I ever work at a place where they have like a written dress code that says like no like brands or logos on your clothing or something, and then they handed me some fucking company swag, I'd be like, I'm never wearing this at work, right? Because no company logos.
No logos. Yep.
If it's good for the goose. Yeah,
exactly. And I mean, well, if it comes down to productivity, like
what doesn't matter how you look?
Yeah.
Tattoos, piercings, like whatever.
And there's people that like get all bent out of shape about tattoos and piercings and stuff.
Not so much anymore, at least, but
yeah,
like I'll say that.
Still a few stragglers, though.
Yeah, like there's still like that lingering subconscious judgment that goes on, I think.
Well, and this does kind of speak to the whole like societal norms and what's expected of
Yeah.
people.
What makes your work so fucking righteous that you can dictate how someone looks?
Mhm.
What
Well,
what does that do for your productivity, your company?
yeah, that's
Like,
especially egregious. If you're one of those people that really cares about the numbers, because wouldn't you care about how much output somebody has? Um, who cares what they look like? Like
yeah.
that shouldn't matter at all. Uh,
Wow, well, this guy had $13 million in sales at his last job, but he came in a Judas Priest shirt.
yeah. Well, and that does kind of speak to the idea that there's a lot of people who don't like, well, deviance.
Okay, that's it. Next job interview I have. I'm wearing my Judas Priest shirt.
Fuck yeah, dude, and like live stream it. Hell yeah.
I'll be like, I'm gonna just TikTok this. Is that all right?
Now, if your boss or the interviewee is interviewer is like, oh yeah, I'm TikToking this too, then you're in good hands. Uh, oh my god.
I tell you what, like the best jobs I've ever had, my favorite places to work were the most laid back. I had the most camaraderie with my fellow workers. I mean, like, I still get together with former coworkers, like our happy hours, as if we still work together. Yeah, like because we had a special thing. Like we had chemistry together, and we did chemistry. But like there was actual like social chemistry,
Huh.
and that was the takeaway, really. Like the thing that mattered the most to all of us, even though now like the jobs have been dissolved, we all still get along and we like to hang out.
Hmm.
Like that's way more important. And I mean, I tell you what, like we had some of the most productive meetings, some like idea like I had I had a bachelor's degree and I had an idea for a research project, and the vice president of R&D listened to me
Hmm.
and put my name on a provisional patent application with just a bachelor's degree
Hmm.
and like a year of experience in the field. But I had an idea that he thought was actually really good. And
Damn.
he like appreciated it and carried me on the wave, and I respected that, and I still go have a beer with the guy. Like that's what work should be.
It,
Why does it have to be this like prim and proper and we don't do certain things? Like fuck that.
mm,
That's not for me. Yeah. Be
well,
real. Be yourself.
yeah, and it comes down to what you hope to accomplish. Like what are we all here for? I oh
I mean, if you're putting on some fake version of yourself, that that says a lot about your self-worth.
mm-hmm.
Like if you don't think you're good enough as is, I don't know that I would ever actually want to hire anyone that came in a suit and fucking tie. Like if you're wearing a tie, I've never worn a tie to an interview.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, ever.
Yeah.
Even if I thought, oh, I should probably wear a tie, I'm like, fuck that. That shit chokes me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why do that to yourself? Why? why dress in a certain way because for no other reason than you're expected to societally. Like,
Yeah,
what does
and
that have to do with your
why?
job? What does that have to do with your abilities to perform that job?
Yeah, and as a society, why is that an expectation that people have that, oh, you're going to be better if you're wearing a suit and tie? Like,
Yeah, we gotta end that shit.
there are so many people that I know who, well, yourself included, Casey, that have never worn a tie, that are ballers, in their field. Like,
You know, I think the whole myth is propagated by like these Italian clothing companies that just want to like sell their fucking suits.
yeah, I think you might be right. Shit.
I
Yeah.
mean, really, like, I mean, yeah, it looks nice. It's if I go to a wedding, I'll
Well, yeah,
snazz up or whatever. You know, it's nice to
but
like, it's a treat,
sure, but the way you look doesn't describe the way you think.
right?
So,
Like, I might look really snazzy in a suit, but I'm a dirty mouthed asshole. Like, at the core. I mean, let's face it. Like, I am not a suit.
yeah.
I'm a Judas Priest shirt.
So you should probably do that sometime. That'd be awesome.
Hell yeah.
Uh,
I mean, really, if you're not gonna hire me for who I am, like, I don't belong.
I hell, I do that too. Like, I've always been in the mind, like, what's the worst you can do? Fire me? Okay, do your worst. Like, all right, I guess. Your loss. Um,
I mean, that'd be like looking down on a coworker because they show up to work in a Yugo or something. Like,
or wear Crocs.
yeah.
Okay, Crocs are an abomination. That's
There was a lightning round we talked about Crocs. Yeah, I mean, outward appearance, the things you say, the jokes you make, none of that really says anything about your work ethic, your skill.
your knowledge.
Yet we put so much weight on it. Like,
And we put
at
weight.
least 60% of what goes into, even subconsciously, what goes into the consideration of a candidate for a job is how they appear.
Well, yeah, we put weight on
And that's pretty conservative.
appearance. Yes, it is. But as a society, we put weight on appearance for all kinds of things.
Yeah.
All kinds of factors, like job candidates, politicians that we vote for and stuff. It's all about like how they look.
Yeah. I mean, I got this
Anybody
ugly
ever
ass fucking
read?
sty going on, and I'm like, whatever, let's do an episode.
Yeah.
You know, like, I don't give a shit if I look like Rocky 3. Like,
so yeah, I've been there too. So
yeah, it doesn't matter.
no, it
This is a
doesn't.
great episode.
It really is. Oh shit. Well, more weed beer.
More 12.8% beer. Woo.
I think it's 8.9. 844-hop-line.
Oh, yeah, well, 8675309.
Jenny.
Just happen to have a female aardvark next to me.
Oh man. What
Had to throw Red Dwarf in there.
Of course. Oh man. Well, oh shit. We're like an hour and a half in.
Oh yeah. Well, damn. That's
Uh,
as that's as long as the meeting this morning that I narrowly missed actually took, and they got nowhere, but we covered all kinds of ground.
yeah,
And
we
we did it drunk and sipping on liquid weed,
yeah,
apparently.
exactly. Oh man. And we didn't even have to have a manager on hand.
Yeah, if you could get this episode out by Sunday, that'd be great.
That'd be great. Ugh, fuck that shit. Ugh.
And you know what? Like, I used to be that guy. Like, I used to be a clock watcher. I held myself to a high standard. I was like, I've got to be on time. I've got to be early. What what do I have to show for it?
Yeah.
Like that's something I grew beyond. That's something I got past, like yeah, I used to be that way. I'll own that. But like fuck it. What did that get me? Where did that get me? Like
Yeah.
what can I point to that I so cherish now to this day? 20 years after showing up 15 minutes early to a shift. What am I pointing to and be like, this is my cherished trophy for showing up 15 minutes early? Like no, none of that. None of that.
Exactly.
What does that matter? Ask yourself that every fucking morning when you're like, oh man, I'm really tired, but I gotta get to work on time. And you're like, how much am I gonna get done if I'm tired? What if I sleep an extra 30 minutes?
And what are the
How much will I
consequences?
get done then?
What are the consequences for coming in to work late?
See, that's what drives people.
Uh,
And not without good reason, unfortunately.
mm-hmm.
And that's the problem. It shouldn't be good reason, but it is.
Well, and
If you want to keep a roof over your head and food in your belly, you got to play by the goddamn rules.
well, you always
Fuck
have
the
to.
fucking rules.
Well, exactly. Yeah, but you always have to.
Sex Pistols 1979.
You always have to kind of play by the rules, but deferring to managers.
You got to play
Like,
well with others, yeah, but
yeah, I mean, I don't know. We're barely scratching the surface here. Oh shit. Uh,
well, I guess we could try to call it a night on that one.
yeah, maybe we should, but I just for the people that are struggling out there, I don't want them to have to do anything that I yeah. Oh, on to you.
Don't take a risk here and there. Go to an interview in a Judas Priest shirt. Like, go out on a limb and see what your employer will look beyond. Because if they look beyond that, they're probably looking directly at your soul. They're probably seeing what you actually contribute, what you bring to the table. They're going to appreciate it. They're going to reward it. And you're going to have an enjoyable time feeding yourself and sheltering yourself.
Yeah, and I mean, if you have a little bit of leeway, um, keep in mind all these managers that manage things and pretend to understand how things are. They don't know shit like any more than you do. Um,
They know
so
things you don't. You know things they don't.
yeah,
Even
exactly.
playing ground
Hmm.
at the end of the day.
Yeah, so go in the Judas Priest shirt. Like they're not God, and for every god, there is another god above them. Like the, they're nothing special. In fact, they're probably less than you. Um,
In
I mean,
fact, you
there's
know
a
what?
reason.
I'm actually going to go to every interview from now on in a Judas Priest shirt, and if they say anything, I'm going to say, "What does my clothing have to
Yes,
do with my abilities?"
you totally should. Oh man,
Like honestly,
those
like
friends,
I want to single-handedly break this fucking moray that we have in society that you
yeah.
have to wear a suit to an interview. Fuck that shit. That ain't comfortable. I sweat my I don't always sweat, but if I wear a suit, I always sweat.
Is that a Dos Equis statement right there?
I don't always sweat, but when I wear a suit, I always sweat.
Oh man, there's going to be a lot of girls that are going to like that. Um,
Except I winked with my gross eye.
but people feel like those people matter, that somehow managers and interviewers and stuff like they really matter. I don't think they do. Like
No
in
more
fact,
than you or I.
no, exactly. And in fact, owning it,
We all matter.
we do. But owning it and acting like they don't matter actually places them in a weaker position. Um, well, going back to the Zelenskyy thing, like walking around in a t-shirt as a president of Ukraine is so baller. Like, have you ever seen like for all the people that are pro Russia, have you ever seen Putin walk around in a t-shirt or a woolly pulley?
Well, he was on horseback, topless once.
Yeah, well, that's true. Okay. But that's like, memes and stuff like that. But like an actual photograph, it hasn't happened. Like he thinks he's cool because he wears suits and used to work for the KGB and all this stuff. It's like, but you're being spanked by dude in a fucking like olive drab t-shirt. Um, I mean, that's next level. So yeah, go to your interview with a Judas Priest t-shirt. Like, why not? Velvet Revolver or something like that. Like,
Or a Floyd kitchen sink meowscopy shirt.
oh yeah, hey Floyd, yeah, here he is. Oh, good kitty. Yeah.
Well, on that note, my back teeth are floating, so
Oh shit.
we might as well
Pack it
call
in.
it call it a night.
Yeah, probably time to pack it in.
In, I think I hear the Oscars sound people turning the music up anyway.
Well, hang on a second. The Oscars. So I'm gonna be like, hey.
I just got smacked the shit out of me by Eric Rosenblatt.
Oh man.
Oh, shit.
Well, and that actually says something. So yeah,
They were all wearing suits. Look how they acted.
they were. Holy skit. Huh. That
Interesting.
interesting.
Kills them. Kills them all.
Oh man.
That's Star Trek, not an actual edict.
Mm-hmm.
YouTube. Looking at you.
Yeah. We're peaceful people.
Monetize us because we put a cat butt and a German accent to kill people. Yeah. Fuck you, YouTube.